I could see the ball bounce, and I could see the daylight, the huge daylight between the ball and the line. So I was straight away in disbelief because I knew it was a goal. He was a tough manager. You knew where you stood with him. He worked us very hard in training, a lot of work on focus on the fitness side of preparation and organisation of the team. And it was tough and pretty straight down the line. Wasn't a manager to get too involved in personal relationships. You didn't talk to him too much like some other managers you do, but you knew he was the boss. So, and we knew that he had great credentials. He'd won many titles in his club career, so you had respect for him for that. I have seen bits of the wedding DVD. It was all right. You know, as much as watching someone else's wedding DVD is, it was. I'm only joking. It was good fun, and we watched it a bit. But listen, there is downtime in any World Cup. So I think, looking back with hindsight, the base was too remote. We were too sort of protected and shoved off on our own with the right intentions to focus on football. But it ended up being a long time in a very remote place. But you have to try and find things to do with your time. You're going to be in a hotel room whether you're in a remote place or in the middle of town. You spend a lot of time sitting around your hotel room, so you have to try and find ways around the boredom. That's a fact. So fortunately I was playing games, so your focus is always on the games coming up, so the boredom is obviously caught up with training and prepping and getting your head ready for playing the game. So I didn't take it as a problem, I just took it as part of the job, part of being in a World Cup. Is downtime, and you have to try and handle it very well, and obviously we didn't handle it possibly as well as we could have done. The same. The pressure remained the same for me. Probably my last tournament in Brazil, which I didn't actually start many games, but was when I felt the expectation level kind of lessened. But 2006, 2010, we went into with a lot of players playing in the Champions League at home and the Premier League performing very well, so we had huge expectancy on both tournaments. We had a good team, I think we had a good group. It was always quite realistic. A World Cup is very difficult, it's very tough to win. You know you're coming up against great nations, Spanish nation particularly strong still in 2010. And others, the South Americans, the Germans, Italians, you know that the competition level is so high. So I was always realistic, personally. So I was confident that we had a good team, but knew that it would be very tough to go and try and win it. The pressure was there. We went into the game against the USA knowing it was a tough game, and they're typically underrated by the English media and press. It's America, what are they going to do to us? But they were athletic, had good players, a good team, and very determined. We obviously drew that game, having gone ahead early in the game, which was disappointing, and then we had a terrible performance against Algeria. It was 0-0. We got a lot of criticism for that, so winning the last group game was obviously good for us to get us through the group, obviously, and get some confidence back. But groups are tough. That's why momentum's so important in tournaments, because we didn't fly through that group, when we were expected to do better. So it was good that we got through it, but in terms of performance, we were certainly not at our best. A massively tough game, regardless of anything. Germans, we knew that they have a winning mentality, that they're used to winning, they believe they're going to win, they had a lot of talent in their team. So we expected a very tough game, and it was exciting. I remember, England, Germany, wow, the build-up to that game goes something else because of how the fans are, and we're rivals, as nations in footballing terms. And we knew it was going to be a tough game. It turned out to be so. We went 2-0 down very early, and then we were thinking, wow, we're in real trouble here. We've managed to pull it back. The rest is history with the ghost goal or no goal, from my point of view, which I think would have turned the game to a degree, would have got us back to 2-2. But we played against a very good German team, and you have to hold your hands up sometimes. We lost the game. They started very quickly against us, and we got caught. We got caught unawares, and in midfield we were struggling for. We were outnumbered. I remember playing in there as a 2 in a 4-4-2 midfield. They seemed to have 4 or 5 players in the midfield area getting on the ball, and it was really hard to play against them. And within 20 minutes, bang, the game was almost out of sight, it felt at the time. So it just shows you the importance of starting well in these games. They were quicker than us, they were sharper than us. We managed to get a foothold back in the game after that, but it was a really tough start. It was an awkward hit, the ball, because it was bouncing around, and so I couldn't get loads of power on it because it would have gone over the bar, so I kind of just tried to dip it over him, which I did. And I knew instantly, because as I moved away after the strike, I could see the ball bounce, and I could see the daylight, the huge daylight between the ball and the line, so I was straight away in disbelief because I knew it was a goal. People, try and say, well, that didn't really change the game. Well, it did, because we would have been 2-2 at half-time. We started the second half well. Rooney had a bit of a chance, I remember, and then I hit the bar from 25 yards or so, which was to go 3-2 up. At that point, it didn't happen. We were chasing the game, and then we got done on some breaks to lose the game. But yeah, I think, moments like the hitting the bar are forgotten when you end up with a 4-1 result. That's the nature of the beast, though. That's the way it went. Right down the bottom. Yeah. If you lose, like the World Cups I played, and unfortunately we didn't have success. I had a fantastic Euros. Personally, it was good for me, and as a team, it was my first tournament. I loved it. We got, we felt like we had a chance to win it. Unfortunately, knocked out on penalties. The World Cups didn't go away, and when you want to win and you don't win, unfortunately, it makes you look back on them with not much fun.